smart enough to win. That's how the story starts. Learning is the edge that sets your work apart. When the stakes get high and the pressure never stops, smart learning in your pocket puts your business at the top.
Welcome to the Learning Advantage, from Insight to Impact, where we're going to show how smart learning fuels real business results. I'm Deb Laurel, and I'm your host. Hello, and welcome to the Learning Advantage. For over 40 years, Laurel and Associates Limited has worked alongside national and international managers to help them successfully manage employees and create and maintain a positive, healthy, and supportive work environment where employees want to stay and do their best. We focus on making lackluster leaders legendary. The purpose of the Learning Advantage, from Insight to Impact, is to discuss how smart learning fuels real business results. In each episode, we strive to deliver actionable strategies, evidence-based design tips, and real-world case studies that show how learning strengthens organizational health, advances sustainability, and drives profitability. And for that reason, I'm delighted to introduce our guest for today, Traci Poe. Traci believes.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I was going to say thank you for having me here. Sorry.
I'm glad to have you here.
I'll shut up now.
I want to tell them all about you.
Go ahead.
Stronger relationships are built through stronger interpersonal communication skills. As a founder of Communicate Great and an interpersonal communication educator, trainer, and speaker, Traci helps faith-based businesses, organizations, and teams build stronger relationships by developing the skills that create trust, understanding, collaboration, and connection. Through engaging workshops, team-building experiences, and training programs, she equips participants with practical interpersonal communication skills that can be applied across both personal and professional relationships, situations, and environments. Rather than offering scripts or one-size-fits-all solutions, Traci focuses on helping people develop the underlying skills that improve how they listen, navigate conflict, give and receive feedback, manage assumptions, and relate to others. Her passion is helping people discover that interpersonal communication is more than a skill set. It is a relationship-building tool that can transform teams, workplaces, organizations, and lives. Her work is rooted in a simple belief: when interpersonal communication skills improve, relationships improve. And when relationships improve, people and organizations thrive. So Traci, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I'm delighted to have you. So I'm going to get right into the questions.
Yeah.
When you think about learning as a competitive advantage, what does that mean in the context of your work?
Okay, let me just say first, I love your intro song. That's very, very jazzy and snappy and fun. And so it's a great way to start. The second thing is, before I answer that question, and I may have you ask it again, but I love that you invited me on with your topic. Recently, I discovered that apparently I have strong opinions. People have been saying, oh, yeah, I know that was going to be strong from you. So I've kind of been taken back by, I didn't realize I had such strong opinions. But I very, 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 very much have a strong opinion about continuously learning. And that is why I'm thrilled that you asked me on, and I get to really talk about learning and that continuous learning. So What was the question again?
When you think about learning as a competitive advantage, what does that mean in the context of your work?
So I sort of butted up against that answer when I said I strongly believe in this continuous learning process as individuals, as teams, managers, companies, whatever that looks like. You're always looking at things, or at least I hope you're always looking at things and you're thinking, where is the iteration? Where is the little change? What can we do to improve? What can I learn? And even me as an entrepreneur day to day, I'm constantly learning something. Maybe it's not within my niche. Maybe it's not learning something in the interpersonal calm area, but maybe it's how to figure AI out or how to run this app or that app. But the point is that there's continuous learning. And so when you have an organization, a business, dedicate themselves to them learning as an organization, but then perpetuating their employees, their leaders to continuously learn, how can that not be an advantage over companies that say, yeah, we don't really care about professional development or personal development? Yeah, we don't care. We like status quo. Then what happens to that company that's just riding that status quo when you've got a competitor that believes in this continuing education and empowers their employees, empowers their leaders? They're going to take off over the company that just says, yeah, we're fine the way we are.
And also, if a company says we're fine the way we are, there are a lot of employees who are not comfortable with that and are going
Yes.
to leave ship. They're going to find some other place where they can grow and develop their opportunities and their ideas.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Can you share a specific example where a learning initiative moved from insight to real impact and how you measured that impact?
Let me, yes. So the work that I do, hopefully, if the teams are showing up, the teams or the groups, whoever I'm working with, whether it's a leadership team or a larger team, hopefully they're going to show up ready to open their minds and their hearts to what I have to go through with them. And so when I have those participants who are truly showing up as a participant, it can't help but make a difference. You see those aha moments kind of shooting off. And in those moments, I believe that I've had success in that moment. If I have somebody having an aha moment and they've learned at least one thing, just one thing before I walk out the door, I think that is a success for me. Because what that person is going to do is they are going to carry that aha moment. They're going to carry that thing forward with them. So I don't know if that answered your question, but that is my answer.
Well, as a trainer, that is
Yeah.
the impact that we want.
Right.
We want people to learn something new, to internalize it, and to take it out into the world, whether it's
Yes.
their personal or their work life.
Mm-hmm. And I would say that when somebody brings me in and I work with their team, whatever size it is, I talk about interpersonal communication skills, which you're going to use in every facet of your life. And how I landed on some of what I do, I had somebody contact me and he asked if I could come in and maybe once a quarter come do a workshop for his team. And I said, great. Do you want me to come from the personal aspect or from the professional aspect? And he said, and this is perfect, he said, let's go personal because they will be able to use it at work. And that is so true when it comes to interpersonal calm skills. So yes, there's this ripple effect as a trainer. When you work with somebody, they get it, they internalize it, just like you said, and now it goes with them from there on.
And communication is the key. It's the key to everything, whether a manager is effective or not, whether an employee is effective or not. It all boils down to, was communication clear? Was it understood? Was it acted on?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. There are times when I will say something along the lines of, if I can get it right, the degree to which you have healthy communication is the degree to which you have a healthy relationship. If your interpersonal communication skills are not healthy, if they are lacking, for a better word, then your relationship will suffer because you are not communicating in an effective way. And one of the things is, people will expect me to come in and say, if this person says this, then you say this, then they say this, and that's not how it works. And I think, I don't know, Deb, if it was you I was saying this to, I said it to somebody, I don't give you the fish. I teach you how to fish. I teach you these techniques and these skills so that then you can move forward with the conversation without me having to feed you what to say. And that's huge.
Oh, it is huge, because remembering a script makes the whole situation artificial and awkward. And we want people to communicate sincerely and authentically.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
What do you see as the biggest barrier preventing organizations from fully embracing lifelong learning? And what do you think how can we overcome that?
How can we overcome that is a great question, but let me answer. I see three things. Two of them I have seen. One of them was an example from one of my husband's former employers. So one is money. Companies, they're always walking around with, oh, we're tight, our budget's tight, it's tight, it's tight. We don't have the money for these, what they might consider a luxury. I don't know if that's the terminology they use, but to them it's a nice, it's the icing on the cake, right? We don't really need it, so we're not going to spend our money. The other one is, I hear a lot of time. I don't know when we're going to be able to do this, when we're going to be able to get our team together, because what that means is, for the most part, the department is shutting down if it's a department-wide training. So they don't want to shut things down for even a small amount of time, because they go back to that bottom line, that dollar, where, oh, if our department is shutting down for this time of training or a workshop, team building, whatever it is, our bottom line is going to suffer. So they kind of go hand in hand. Another one that I had not thought of until my husband was talking about it, and this was years ago, his then boss did not want anyone going to conferences, having any kind of professional development, no training, because he was afraid that his employees would meet someone outside the company and then that person would steal his employee away. So he made them shelter in place, so to speak, so that they couldn't be recruited, because if you don't meet anybody, you're not going to get recruited, which is not, that's just not realistic. But that was his reasoning for not wanting his employees to have any kind of training, professional or personal. And when you're doing a job for someone, me, if I'm the boss, if I'm a leader, if I'm a manager, I want my employees having training, whether it's on their system, how can they make their system more efficient, or whether it's how to communicate, how to handle conflict. If my employees are getting training, that's getting them in this thrive mode. Because when you have no one who wants to invest in you professionally or personally, how does that feel? So your question of how do we move companies past this, I think one thing is your messaging. I think another thing is showing them that their turnover rate is probably higher than it needs to be if they are not engaging in any type of ongoing learning for their employees. And ongoing doesn't have to be daily. Like, you don't have to go to daily trainings. That would be inefficient at a point. But something that says to your employee, I care about you. I care about who you are, not just as a worker of this community, but as a person. I care about who you are as a person. So let me help equip you in life and in work. That tells me, oh, they think about me. They really want to invest in me. So maybe it's a matter of just helping companies see how the employees feel when you're not investing in them. Do they feel like they're valued? Maybe, but maybe not. And then you look at that turnover rate. You mentioned kind of jumping ship for that company that says, I like status quo. We're not going to change anything. We're fine the way we are. You are right. Companies that are behaving in that way and have that thought process, they are going to be having a higher turnover rate, my guess, than another company. But more than turnover, what is morale? What is the morale within the walls of that business if you feel like you are not valued? I think you're going to find a serious negative morale issue in those companies.
And it really comes down to profit for at least for-profit organizations. If employees' morale is low, their productivity is low, if they are jumping ship, there are huge costs involved in first monetarily replacing them and getting somebody else up to speed. There's also the huge cost of the loss of historical knowledge, which
Yes.
also impacts productivity.
Yes.
So I have never understood an organization that doesn't believe in investing in their employees, because without their employees, there is no organization.
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
In your view, what's one outdated belief about corporate learning that we need to let go of, and what should replace it?
Okay. Thank you for asking this question. I was having a conversation. I was actually talking to a group about coming in and doing a webinar for their association, their people. And one of the things I asked them was, is this going to be interactive? Am I going to be able to ask questions? Because it's virtual, obviously, webinar. Am I going to be able to ask your audience questions and get their answers back, get the feedback, have those responses? I believe, let me back up and say, I taught college for 10 years, and one was interpersonal communication, one was public speaking. And they're both communication, so no one is going to come into my classroom and sit and hear a lecture. It's not happening. Communication is this give and receive of information, of messages. And I think when you have trainers go in and they are lecturing, it is just a lecture. It is one way. Maybe, obviously, you're going to get nonverbals from your audience, from your participants, because they might nod their head, they might raise an eyebrow, they might cock their head, something that non-verbally says they're either checked out or they're listening, they're getting it, they're excited, they're not happy, whatever it is, you can read their nonverbal. But that is not this give and take transaction of being engaged together. And I think that trainers need to let go of this lecture mentality. And I will give you an example. I was, again, talking to my husband about some trainers that were coming in to where he was working. And I was asking him questions. Well, what was it like? And when I went into his company to do one, and he was in the room, and he remarked that they were very engaged, and it was different from what they were used to. They were used to people coming in. They sat there, they took notes as the person lectured. Maybe they engaged a little bit, but that was it. I came in and we did activities and I explained how things applied and I asked questions, and it was very much back and forth. And I would love to see the training world, whether you're doing your training in-house at a company or bringing a third party in, doesn't matter. This idea of I'm just going to lecture and you're going to take notes and then I'm going to collect my paycheck and we're all going to go about our business. That's A, what? B, how does that really help the employees? One of the things I say is if we're having fun, you're going to learn more because you're going to be engaged. And that is what I think, again, needs to change. We need to, as a group of trainers, understand, let's engage, let's interact, let's ask questions, let's really find out what they're thinking and have a meaningful conversation. Let's use some activities, some team building to get them engaged, to hopefully facilitate those aha moments where they then, like we talked about earlier, can leave and they're carrying something with them. So that's what I would say.
Another way of putting what Traci has been talking about is we want to change behavior. That's what training is all about. And if it's whether it's communication or team building or management, if the participants aren't actively trying out the new behavior, testing it for themselves in a safe environment, the safe environment being the workshop. If they're not testing that out, there is no likelihood at all that they're going to do it when they leave that workshop.
Yes.
So when Traci is talking about engaging them, she really means getting them doing. If learning how to communicate is what's important, then we have to practice communicating in that classroom.
Right. Right. What is the saying? It's I teach you, I show you, I do it with you, I watch you do it. What is that saying? Do you know what saying I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. And of course, it doesn't come to mind with the right words.
That's the idea, though.
Lao Tse said it, and Ben Franklin reset it.
Yes.
Essentially, if I tell you, you hear it. If I show you, you learn it. If you do it, then if you're allowed to do it, then you'll be able to do it yourself.
Right. Yeah.
That's very poor of what it is, but we both know what we're talking about.
And because when you do it with someone, you show them and then you do it with them and then they do it on their own, that's when they can get to the point of mastery. And that's what your goal is, to get them to grow to the point of mastery.
Exactly. Maybe. I audited a training program years ago, and people left that training saying, boy, I wish I knew what that trainer knows, as opposed to leaving saying, oh, I get it. I can do it too.
Yes.
It's a huge difference, a huge difference.
There is, there absolutely is. And that would have made my heart sad to hear that as they walked out the door. Okay. Yeah.
What, if you could give one piece of advice to leaders who want to build a true culture of continuous learning, what would it be?
It would be to kind of a couple of different answers, but all together, prioritize it. Understand that it's not just going to fall into the calendar, right? So you have to prioritize it, even if it's uncomfortable, shutting the department down or gathering people together in a time that maybe you could be doing other things. So you have to understand that the value of what you're doing can easily outweigh the discomfort of shutting things down just for a small amount of time. Because when you are training your employees, when you're investing in them, you're going to get more long run. So I would say prioritize it, make the time, get it on the schedule, commit to doing it. Just do it.
And I'll take that one step further.
Please.
Incorporate an expectation for your managers that when employees have gone, or managers have gone to a training program, that there be follow through and follow up and reinforcement, because
Yes.
training is not a one-shot deal.
Right. I was actually working with a leadership team, a small leadership team, for almost a year. And one of the things that I would always equip them to do is to check in for accountability within that leadership team. How are you doing on this? Oh, I noticed this. Let's talk about this thing. So yes, I would always give them charge of checking in on each other and holding each other accountable where they needed to. So I do agree with that 100%.
Those accountability buddies.
Yes.
Yeah. And of course, it's a lot easier for employees or managers to talk to their peers and to
Yes.
get feedback and support from them, because that's ongoing.
Right. Mm-hmm.
What's one book, resource, or learning experience that has had a lasting impact on you personally?
I'm going to say it's the experience that I had of teaching for those 10 years in college. And what you learn when you're teaching people over and over and over again, whether it's in a classroom for higher education or secondary, whatever it is, or it's as a trainer, when you're going over that material over and over and over again, it really cements it for you. And when let's say I'm going to be giving a workshop in a month on listening, one of my favorite topics. Even though I've given that, taught it, do it, I'm still going to take my time to review things, to think, do I need to add anything new in? I'm going to do some more research. So just the activity of sharing your knowledge with other people helps cement it for you. So that's my answer for me, is getting to help other people with this. So I'm going to say it's not a book, it's an experience of actually doing the thing, teaching people the thing, training them, engaging with them, because that sharpens it in myself.
Oh, amen to that. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you'd like to add?
I think we have covered it all, but I do want to go back to the beginning when I was sort of answering your first question, but not really answering your first question, because I wanted to get in that I love that you do this. I love that you have this platform for people like you and I who truly understand the value of this ongoing learning. So what I would say again is just echoing that I would love for you to respond to Deb's show, hit in the comments, things that you're doing that are helping you with this continuous learning process, because it is so important. We never stop growing. We never stop changing. So let's not stop learning. That is what I want to leave.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you. So thank you. How should they get in touch with you, Traci?
My website is communicategreat.online. I have a whole story about how .com was taken, and I'm a little salty about it to this day, but communicategreat.online. And then you can also find me on LinkedIn and YouTube as well.
Wonderful. So Traci, thank you so much for being my guest. I have enjoyed this enormously.
Thank you for asking me to do this with you, Deb. I appreciate that you do this and that you invited me on. So thank you very much.
And thank you for listening and participating in our conversation. I hope that you learned as much from today's session as I did. Join us next week on July 28th as we meet with Dr. Frumi Bar, the CEO and Dean of the Bar Business School, an online program for entrepreneurial leaders and their teams. If you'd like to assess the skills of your trainers and your managers, please reach out to me on LinkedIn to receive a free assessment that you can use, because there are expectations that these managers and trainers need to meet if you want continuous learning and if you want productivity in your workplace. And please remember that Laurel and Associates is always focused on making lackluster leaders legendary, as smart learning fuels real business results. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Learning Advantage from Insight to Impact. We'll look forward to seeing you again next week.
Every lesson, every workshop.